Got us all show. There's a wobble there. Oh yeah.
Thank you, it's okay.
That first step. Yeah.
I think that's all Leary.
Taken by the phone.
You know what I mean?
We meet again.
So this fort is called Cahir Baglir, which means in Irish, the fort of the son of Lohere. This was originally Crowley clan country, and it was taken over by the Crowleys. The territory of the Crowleys stopped at the road where the pub was. So they occupied this fort up to 1610. The actual occupation of the fort as used as a homestead or farmstead went up to the 1700. What is particular about this fort is it has two ditches, as you've seen, and they're fairly filled. So originally they were way deeper. There was no causeway to the entrance, which is stone facing, right? It was a drawbridge, very effective. And you can see there is 8 meters that you have to go through the gate to get into the fort. Originally, the walls were about 2 meters high, and the poem describes that the palisade that was over the stone walls, that was made of wood, was like a single piece of wood. So it wasn't like, you know, the fort of the Far West with, you know, spiky. It was dowed and looked very nice and clean. This fort with the entrance like this, projecting from the wall and in stone, is one of the few of its kind of in Ireland. So it is quite particular. It is not impossible that actually there was a stone building over the gate. There certainly was a tower made out of wood, but it could have been made out of stone. The fort was built around 1000 AD. Yeah, the cows agree, so I'm so happy we got such a great public, you know.
Verifying your history.
The fort was built around 1000 AD, and there is a reference in the poem that Brian Boru, which became High King of Ireland and gave the name of the Crowleys at the Battle of Clontarf in 1014, was held as a hostage between his 8th and 10th year here in the castle, because Crowley and the Dalcatians, the O'Briens, were fighting. So as a peace, he was given as a peace pledge, he was given as a hostage to when he was a kid, from the age of 8 to 10. So there is a double relationship of this fort with the Crowleys. Brian Boru giving our name of the Battle of Clontarf and the fact that we occupied the fort probably around 1300, 1400 up to 1610. So what are we going to do? And is he coming? Okay. Okay. So we're going to have a little ceremony. The clan was not a monolith. You had the main line of the chiefs, and you had different branches. And each branch, we know historically there were 8 to 9 different branches of the Crowley clan. Each branch had a designation, and there was a chieftain who would report to the clan chief. So those family branches or stemming branches had designations such as O'Crowley na Madre, which means O'Crowley of the Hounds, O'Crowley Kippa, which means O'Crowley the Tormenting One, O'Crowley Ray, which means O'Crowley Red Hair, Crowley Og, which means Crowley young. And we've made the decision to reinstate those designations by appointing sept chieftains, so that we actually have an historical accurate structure of the clan. And the sept chieftains that have been appointed, some of them didn't have much choice. No, I'm kidding. Will have a particular role in the clan. They're committed, okay? And they may use that designation that we're going to give them. So as a token of the designation, each of them will receive a flag with a badge and the name of the branch on the flag. Right, so now, so this is a little bit ceremonial. This is a chief staff, right? So anyone who's not happy gets a hit. This is a replicate. This is a replicate of a mantle that the Irish chiefs wore at the time. It's not a tartan, it's checkered, it's heavy wool. You don't want to wear it too much, too long, even if it's raining. But in any case, the Irish sold them all over the continent in Europe. It was a great trade that the English were looking after. So, who could help me? Sean, you're taking pictures? A gentleman, would you help me? Okay, so I will call one by one the chieftains of that have been assigned. Crowley Og, Liam, come here.
I didn't know about this, you know.
Crowley Ray, this is Charlie, Cormac and Creelock. Charlie. Crowley Kappa. The tormenting one is James, the treasurer. Would you like to play a tune? Mick, would you like to play a tune? That'd be lovely. Guys, come here. We'll take pictures. Absolutely. Thank you. I would like to introduce Big Dawson, who served 20-some years, 30 years in the Irish and the British Army as a piper. He's been all around the world on peacekeeping mission. Not only is he a great piper, but he's a great fella. So let's... So now we shall proceed back to the buses, and we shall pray in memory of our ancestors during Mass. And the future generations, of course.
And if anybody has anybody special that's very ill, you know, that needs to be prayed for, you might just write it down on a piece of paper, and we'll ask the priest to come along and just give him a mention while Mass is on. Hooray! Hooray! Hooray!
You like that, huh? It's my pleasure. All right? Told you. And guys, use that designation publicly.
Helen.
You know, that's what is going to make the difference. Is that you can say, whenever this fermentation or the shift and the separate Crowley old. That's going to make a whole difference.
I like
Picture of the chief staff or staff in.
The oak is because of Kilbritton. Sure.
They've got birth.
Right.
Right, we better all go because mass is at 3.
Come on.
So we have about 20-25 minutes to go.
They'll be able to tell you in all
Yes. Crowley, I think. Oh, is that another cow?
That's a great answer.
I know. Okay, so you're not expecting the whole process. Oh, no, it's okay, good. I'll just check it.
As this is very significant because this is the only Crowley castle remaining. Now the ruins are not that extensive, so there was a great deal of care spent and led by Liam. Where is Liam?
The young.
He's gone up. He led a project to protect the structure. Okay. The history of the castle is one of, as many Irish castles, it was destroyed by the English after the Battle of Kinsale, around 1602. It was built around 1450, 1500, and it indicates a movement of the clan westward from where we were earlier. okay, from the place of Cahir, Crowley, and vicinity. A prominent chieftain, his name was Olive Crowley, in 1488 wrote to the Pope through the injection of the Bishop of Ross, O'Driscoll, to have a separate parish erected in the south of Carbery near Timoleague on account of O'Crowley's settlements. And he wanted to make sure that he had erected a chapel. The foundation of the chapel still exists in Kilnagros Cemetery. He wanted to make sure that the Crowleys could go to church faithfully and not being attacked by the local McCarthys. In any case, the parish was erected and confirmed by the Pope in 1493. And this man probably wrote, and if he didn't know how to write, used a scribe or herald from the castle from here. So there's a bit of history attached to this. Now, when you look at those three walls remaining, actually you should, and there's a sketch in the historical notes. You have to imagine the castle standing to about 70 feet high. A barn wall, which is a curtain wall in stone on this side, that side, and sloping down. And on the other side, it was a wooden palisade with a wooden gate. And the curtain wall followed that stream. Originally, the stream was way wider, and there was a little island. And there's a lime kiln on the other side. Lime kiln is where you make lime. You burn stones, so you make lime. And this is a must to maintain a structure like this, because it was plastered inside out. So the castle was actually not the subject of a contest, but what happened in early 1600, the McCarthys pursued the O'Learys, who had stolen cows from them, north of Copine. And they recovered the cows from the O'Learys, and around here, the O'Learys came after the McCarthys, and the O'Crowleys moved out of the castle and got into the fight. Remember, the O'Crowleys were fighting for the McCarthys. And they slew 17 of the O'Learys, including the son of the chieftain, and 7 relatives of the chieftain. So it was a victory for the O'Learys, for the O'Crowleys, on account of, fighting against the O'Learys were not very good friends. The castle must have been destroyed in around 1602 by the English forces after the Battle of Kinsale, where they used destructive policy, scorched earth policy, to get rid of all means of the Irish to sustain troops. So they burned crops, wheat, killed cattle. There's a writing of Carew that he walked through Kilshallow and killed over 500 cattle in one day. As a result of that, the chieftain moved from here to Kinney, as I said earlier. We said earlier, Kinney, where the Round Tower is. So, and the following chief of the clan lived in Kinney until 1659, which is the time of the Cromwellian dispossessions. Thank you.
Will do.
Well, there's
Right. Okay. One of you now can put that onto my pickup.
good. Excellent.
Now, the driver, right, nice and slow, and shout if she's travelling in front.
She probably will be.
It's all soft.
Hey, put in your mirror, put in your mirror, put in your mirror, put in your mirror. Yeah, I get it. Put in more, put in more. Put your right hand down.
I go in. Right.
Well, that's tough for an old man. Well, it wouldn't be tough for an old man. It wouldn't be fat for an old, or fat for a fat man. But it's fat for an old fat man.
One or the other.
Right.
Right.
And,
This is good order now. Right?
Right.
And might as well reverse it. Right, so folks,
thank you.
and wait, I'll go down and put in the straw. So, will you reverse up so before you load them? And I will go down and put in the straw.
Yeah, I'll reverse that.
Great stuff. Lovely.
Thanks a million.
No bother at all.
Thank you.
Okay, do you want to say it?
No, they need to.
You better put me on down now to the other group.
Good luck.
Come over so he doesn't have to go in another ditch.
Jesus.
I'm going to do a little speech, not too long, thank God. I would like to let you know that we have two persons of note. Ambassador Vickers from Canada is and Crowley, who is the Crowley, in other words, the President of the Friends of Ireland, which is the overall body. So both of them do a little speech as well during the meal. I did not prepare this speech, so I never prepared a speech, but I do want to have it. But I wanted to share with you some thoughts. It's been a long journey. A long journey for the Crowleys since the very beginning to today. It's been a long journey as well since the very beginning until the end of the time system and when they lost part of the lands. and their religion was forbidden. It's also been a long journey for them immigrating overseas. And I'm sure you realize as well that it's been difficult to travel back to Ireland. What I want to say is that actually we have a unique history, and we need to preserve that. It is up to us to preserve it, to work preserving it. Nobody else is going to do it. Yeah. Very simple. And the best example of that is the project that was led by Liam, former teacher, to actually preserve and restore the ruins of a Crowley. And if he hadn't done this project today, the ruins would have been gone. This is certain. Okay. And you've seen the site of Cahir, Crowley, this morning. It is not in a great state of preservation. They used to have a ditch around it that was filled lately, not so long ago, 8 years ago. And what we want to work in the future, near future, is preserve the site and probably, with the help of some archaeologists, reconstruct some of it, because it is a high significance. So please get involved. I know you are involved because you came, but share your ideas. Don't be afraid. We listen. We have a group here in the town council and all the other people circulating around it. That is wonderful. Without the town council and the involvement, this gathering would not have happened. So I'm here standing on their behalf. Okay? That's important. And we are dedicated. This is a voluntary association, if you wish. So I just spoke about the Cahir, the Cordlock, and the project. The other project that we have is to renew the website. And the website has done its work. It's been there for 20 years. There's a lot of traffic. We will renew the website to make it more interactive. We'll include a page where genealogy information could be provided. And of course, anyone providing genealogy information would agree that this information becomes semi-public or codes, okay, can be shared under certain circumstances. And the website also will have a commerce type electronic transaction facility. And Peter Crowley, here sitting, the lead architect of this project, he's already done a lot of work on this. There's a lot more to do, of course. The third project that we're going to do next year, and we wanted to do it this year, but we just didn't have the time, and also it conflicted with the celebration of the Rising of 1916, is go to primary schools. We have 5-6 people in the town council and the side that are willing to do that. And we even have a teacher who's float up. Where are you float up? All right, could you stand up, please? Let's start listening. She's Dr. Pat's Artanisha daughter, and she speaks Irish fluently. But in any case, the project is about going to school, primary school, and spending an hour with a little bit of documentation and explaining to the kids that are in those schools what was the plan system about, and which were the major plans of the area. And we want to do that because we believe there is appetite from the kids, that it may also instill an appetite from the parents. Okay? And apparently everyone is very happy to help us with it. The schools will be quite happy to help us look into it. It's a unique initiative amongst plans to reach out to the public educational system. And I think that will be quite interesting to see the results. So, please, in 3 years' time, come back. Okay? Despite the rain of tomorrow. That's right.
Absolutely. I'll show you a meal. We'll see you later.
It's not sustainability. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very honored and humbled to be here this evening. I would like to thank Dr. Patrick Crowley for his kind invitation to address you all this evening. I believe a good number of you are from afar, and I suspect that, like me, you feel the spirits calling out to you as you connect with your ancestral homeland. Welcome home. I've been in Ireland a year and a half, and when I first returned home, I told my mother, Monica, about this place. And I said, Mother, they have our names: McCarthy, Gissel, Murphy, Crowley, Shanahan, Walsh, Butler. I said, Mom, not only do they have our names, they actually look like us. And not only do they look like us, they act like us. And not only do they act like us, but they treat like us. This should not be unusual. My third great-grandfather grew up here at Clayton Bantry, and he immigrated to my hometown of Marshall, New Brunswick, with his wife Lydia in 1826. So it's always a real pleasure for me to come here to Bantry. My mother had a sister Carmel. As children, they often spoke of coming here to Bantry to visit. Regrettably, Carmel passed about 3 years ago. But last year, my 90-year-old mother, Monica, I brought her here to Bantry, and I took her out to Akakista, where she emptied Carmel's ashes into the Bantry Bay. Like America, Canada received large numbers of Irish immigrants during the famine, especially in 1847. Many traveled through Canada via the St. Lawrence, the Great Lakes, to reach the United States. Their impact upon our country has been remarkable, and it indeed was and continues to be around the world. Thomas Darcy McGee from Carlingford was the leader of the 1848 rebellion against the British. His colleagues were hung. He, however, escaped first to America and then traveled to Canada, where he became our most articulate father of Confederation. In 1867, when we became the Dominion of Canada, one of the catalysts for becoming a country was the Fenian Brotherhood of the United States, who envisioned invading Canada and holding it ransom for the freedom of Ireland from British rule. Interestingly, when we became a Dominion in 1867, Thomas Darcy McGee became a member of Parliament. A short time later, he answered a knock at his door in downtown Ottawa. And upon opening the door, he was shot and killed by Fenians who saw him as a traitor to the cause of Ireland. Despite his involvement in being the leader of the 1848 rebellion, Irish-born Canadians made a huge contribution during both the First and Second World War and fighting with Canada. The Irish would have had a huge commitment to the First World War over Canada's commitment to the First World War. Huge. Over 660,000 men were recruited, and our country's population was only 8 million at the time. 60,000 men were killed. During the First World War, 20,000 Irish-born Canadians volunteered. Though the regiment known as the Irish Canadian Regiment was formed in 1915, it did not fight as a unit. A good number of the Irish soldiers fought with the 208 Canadian Expeditionary Force. There were many brave acts of valor by these Irish-born Canadians during the Battle of the Ice in Belgium and some in the Battle of Somme. Several of the Irish Canadian soldiers were recipients of the Victoria Cross. Company Sergeant Major Frederick Hall, who was born just up the road here in Kilkenny, emigrated to Canada at the age of 29. He enlisted in the Canadian Expeditionary Force and found himself in charge of a platoon of 1,500 men during the Battle of the Ypres. His immediate supervisor, Lieutenant O'Leary, had been shot and killed on open ground. As part of the regrouping, CSM Hall noted 2 wounded men situated to his rear. One by one, he carried them to the relative safety of the trenches. Hall heard a 3rd man crying in the distance, and a short distance from enemy lines. Hall crawled out to the wounded man and placed him on his back while he was in a prone position. Being somewhat disoriented, he raised his head, but at that time was hit by a bullet and fatally wounded. The wounded soldier was killed shortly thereafter. For his bravery, Company Major Sergeant Hall was awarded the Victoria Cross for conspicuous bravery. There were a number of equally moving acts of heroism by Irish-born Canadian soldiers. The Irish Canadian Regiment did fight as a regiment throughout Italy during the Second World War. Over 175 officers and men were killed in action during that time, during horrible battles. A number of Canadian Prime Ministers' ancestry can be linked back to the immigration from the family. Prime Minister Lester Pearson, Prime Minister Brian Mulroney are 2 notable examples. Prime Minister Paul Martin is a 3rd generation Irish Canadian. His father, Paul Martin Sr., our Foreign Affairs Minister today, single-handedly championed Ireland's admission to the United Nations 61 years ago. Canada and Ireland have been strong allies at the United Nations ever since. The bonds that tie our country are immense. Following the crash here in Ireland in 2008, Canada has received 10,000 Irish people each year thereafter. Trade and tourism among our countries are growing annually. I wonder sometimes if you feel like I do, and that I feel that I, as Irish as the people here, and I hear the spirits back in day. There's a beautiful story of a young girl from Donegal. When she arrived at Port City, Quebec, where 5,000 Irish famine victims are buried, she was adopted by a French family. Her parents had succumbed to typhus and cholera. But each spring, she would travel to where the boat arrived. And she would wonder what life would have been like if her parents had survived. And she would look east and look out towards Ireland and think of her homeland. Ireland, she was so grateful to her French family for having adopted her. And most importantly, her French parents telling her each and every day of her life, n'oubliez jamais, vous êtes Irlandais. I say to you always, never forget you're Irish.
Yes, sir. Bishop, Pastor, Vickers, and the Swinging Nicolette. Of fear officer, that's our negative. is more unordinary. This weekend is a celebration of your of your tradition as clansmen, and especially your tradition as Crowley. By now, an indigenous people of County Cork. We're going to be extremely tough warriors and hardy champions. Indeed, your reputation is such that my few words tonight will be as politically correct and as sympathetic to your sensitive or indeed your fractious nature as it is possible for an O'Kelly to be. Especially given that I am overwhelmingly minority. The first to carry the Crowley name was Dermot Crowley, your progenitor, and descendant of my Rooney, brother of mine, was number 108 in the ancient MacDermot pedigree. His adopted name, Crowley, or Hard Leg or Hard Champion, is somewhat at odds with his father's name, Sheila, which leads me to believe that the O'Crowleys have a soft side also. As for those of you who are familiar with the Irish language, Sheila, of course, means silk. Indeed, it is for this reason that I allow myself an element of comfort for my personal safety in attending here tonight. I will add, for good measure, that my father's aunt-in-law's grandparents were Crowley on the female side. It's true, Pat, by the way. Thus, you will see that we O'Kellys have always maintained the practice of collateral marriages and alliances to ensure our personal safety. In medieval Ireland, the clan system was still relatively private. Population growth led for the need to expand when productive territory became limited for both the indigenous population and the Sassanach. Indeed, this was the case throughout Europe. The Gaelic proverb, "It is easy to sleep on another man's wounds," indicated the sense of comfort for the conqueror, but the vanquished did not sleep so well. The vanquished faced dispossession or colonization, neither an attractive option for tribal people. Whether the O'Crowleys were motivated by expansion or disposition, or an element of both, is not clear to me when they left Roscommon. But it is clear that since your arrival in County Cork, you have maintained a very definite clan nucleus. Central to your personal heritage is your sense of being an O'Crowley. Your sense of camaraderie and your sense of pride in your relatively small clan. However small your name may be numerically, you have displayed a sense of purpose, which has propelled the O'Crowley clan into a leading clan association nationally. Indeed, I would like to take this opportunity, and I expect that the former chair of Clans of Ireland, Nora Hickey-Dohan, who is also with us tonight, will share with me in thanking Michael Patrick for his commitment and the enthusiastic role he has played since he joined the board of Clans of Ireland some years ago. Thanks, Mike. you, as a clan member, is provided with a societal structure, a social entity, which appeals to your primeval instinct. This social structural entity is who we are as individuals within society. It may be that some of you were born far from where your families are native to, but there is an intangible magnetism for all of you with a soul towards your indigenous place, your spiritual home, your family's native place here in County Cork. Indeed, I am reminded by Ambassador Vickers that West Cork was not just the last place in Ireland that many of the Crowley family would have seen in Ireland, but the last few of our shores that so many of the entire population of immigrants would have seen. In Ireland, especially in places like West Cork, we have maintained many of our cultural traditions in their most basic form. Unlike much of the rest of the world, which has become so homogenized. Our culture is alive and vibrant through contemporary prose, poetry, music, visual art, education, architecture, food, games, sport. Indeed, whenever something becomes generic, it is no longer special. It is no longer an aspiration. And I applaud what you are doing in manifestly upholding our culture by keeping the tradition of your clan so vibrantly alive. Our traditions have developed systemically since our legendary beginnings, and part of that early and wild primeval spirit remains in many of us, manifested by our instinctual tendencies to hunt and be associated with the land. I was speaking to somebody earlier, farmers in Canada. Perhaps the most obvious of these is our tendency to congregate in a very tribal manner, with the magnetic cohesion of hurling, for example, in Tipperary and Kilkenny, or Gaelic football in Mayo and Dublin. I understand, yes, that the games that you are best known for here in Cork are rugby and bowling. Many people dismiss history, suggesting that the past should remain in the past. This is equivalent to ignoring centuries of experience and education. I believe that the present draws its inspiration from the past and its aspiration from the future. Others simply take our culture and heritage for granted. But there are also many, like you, who, by your very presence at this event, manifestly endorse and celebrate your heritage as a highly valuable inheritance. Clans of Ireland plays a critical role in nurturing and influencing cultural attitudes. And you, as members of the O'Crowley, the modern O'Crowley clan, show your support for this movement. The Clans of Ireland philosophy involves the preservation of our national heritage through education, as Michael Patrick so eloquently put it earlier, relating to Ireland's culture, which leads to greater and more genuine understanding within the wider community. And I admire the initiative that Crowley and Soda are undertaking here in Cork. Our heritage embraces all those aspects of our lives which we have inherited from our ancestors, and whose survival depends on the actions and attitudes of this and future generations. It is central to our identity. It is what differentiates us from the ever more homogeneous world around us. It is indeed who we are. But my generation, only the second generation following our independence as a nation, went to primary school. We were fed on a diet of Irish mythology, posing as history. Thankfully, this has been largely corrected as historic research has progressed considerably in the second half of the 20th century and during the early 21st century, with the development of carbon dating, DNA, and other forensic research methods. Indeed, many people agree that the celebration of our culture has only become mature during our lives, as we have shed the psychological impairment of the banquet and latterly the sense of being divided. Clans of Ireland is supported in its aims by its patron Michael D. Higgins, Uachtaráin Éireann. These aims include the authentication and registration of Irish clans and historic families, the promotion and of the interests of those clans and historic families, and the provision of authentic and scholarly information relating to those Irish clans and historic families. And it is with a mind to that last point that I again applaud your initiative regarding the primary schools. It is worth noting that membership of Clans of Ireland is not strictly confined to the old Gaelic tribes, but is open to families who have been able to prove a continuous historic pedigree. I would like to suggest that you might read an essay which is currently being published on the Clans of Ireland website, Irish Titles, Irish Pedigrees. It analyses how significant the Gaelic structure of the Fianna was under the system of Taoiseach, while also attempting to clarify some misconceptions that many people have in relation to titles in Ireland. I would also like to suggest that whenever you can, you would consider attending seminars and lectures organised or sponsored by Clans of Ireland. This year, on October the 1st, we commemorate the 700th anniversary of the Battle of Athenry, at which the brilliant Irish scholar Nollaig O'Morila will speak to us on the Gaelic nobility who fell in the Battle of Athenry. And dare I say, you are all welcome. We have alliances and understandings with other organisations such as the Irish Council of Chiefs and Chieftains, with whom we have some cross-representation. The Scottish Council of Chiefs and Chieftains, with whom we share considerable commonality. Trinity College Dublin, with whom we are in association in relation to awarding an annual prize for Gaelic history, which incidentally was won by a postgraduate from University College Cork, Dr. Simon Eden, this year. As well as the Office of the Chief Herald, which now grants access each year to members of Clans of Ireland to manuscript material relating to member clans and historic families. We are not all royal blood, but due to population size in the first millennium, its exponential growth from a small base, and our system of surname origination, it is true to say that many Irish people can genuinely trace their name to a local progenitor. Sometimes their Count Pina, the head of a particular kingdom group of Pina, to whom they were related, was himself related to a noble chief. The O'Crowley of Cork ancestry from the MacDermot is a perfect example. The clan's lands may have gone through different tenures since the Breton system was replaced with the feudal system, which lasted for almost 500 years until its discontinuation in Ireland in 1661. The feudal system was enforced by the courts of common law under 1331, or frequently by the hybrid law of the martyrs. By the middle of the 13th century, most of the good land of the country was occupied by the Anglo-Normans, including the western part of the country were held in general by the Irish. Land under the control of the Anglo-Normans was known as the Terra Pasha, or the land of peace, while the land held by the Irish was known as the Terra Guerra, the land of war. And the frontier areas where the land was contested was known as the marshes. These boundaries were never stable, and this was particularly so following the hardening of Gaelic resistance, which saw a shrinkage of the area held by the Anglo-Normans. Locally, this was manifested in 1261, when your neighbours, the McCarthys, won a decisive battle at Callan near Kenmare, thus securing for themselves supremacy in South America for the ages. And I believe that the O'Crowleys had quite a part to play at that battle. Your clan has still got your people, and although some of you are scattered, as described by Master Vickers' area, you are more numerous than ever. Those of you who have been lucky enough to remain in West Cork have very valuable knowledge to pass on, and a gathering such as this is an ideal opportunity to do so. It is also an ideal opportunity to retain and develop the cohesion of your wonderful clan, even if so many of you are scattered around the world in Canada, Georgia, etc. You now have more to commemorate than ever before, including, of course, your lady's exceptional ability and clothing, and your peerless prowess and poetry. Finally, I would like to thank you for inviting us here this evening. It is an honour to dine in your company, to share some of your camaraderie as a clan, and to gain an understanding of why so many of you so enthusiastically support both the continuing cohesion of your wider family and the organisation which represents you. Lord William Malgrave, Abasina Malgrave Colère.
Thank you, Jared. As usual, a very eloquent speech, very informative. Couple of thanks. You've been served with spirits complementary to Charlie, and this is not because he said grace. If you want to have more wine, I'm afraid, please kindly order from the bar. Okay. We've just exhausted the stock that was available. That's because it didn't rain enough. And also, I think we need to extend our thanks to Martin, brother of Liam, who's providing the buses. So since I have the speaker, I will continue the last of my duties this afternoon. The clan has instituted Cabinet of Merit.
And drink the toast.
Catherine Crowley, are you here? Will you please stand up? Will you please come here? Everyone else? Okay, so Edward Recipients has a medal of the companionist, and you wear it either around the neck or wear it around the tie around your neck. The third recipient, I'm not sure I'm going to ask him to walk up to here because it's going to be a little bit difficult. It's a head musician, Larry.
Woo! Go on, Larry! Woo!
Is it coming? Your son, my wife, knows you out. The fourth one is a friend of mine for many years. He's not exactly a member of the clan, but he's been attending all the gatherings. And it's like, as Liam said, he's now a member. And he's been doing photography as a profession. Complimentary for this. So Sean Roberta, unfortunately there's a normal name, but could you please stand down and be recognized? John and Rudy Verna. To tell the truth, he's a great photographer. He has a sense of artistry. His father was a professional photographer. But you don't want to have a beer drinking contest. This will conclude the series of
Excellent. Tremendous. Thanks to Michael Patrick. I've known Michael Patrick since 1977, when as a student from France, he came over to work in a project in many apprenticeship project that I was involved in. And one day, I hadn't met him, but the local priest, because he was in the community temple, or that's where they were being fed and when they were sleeping, it was not really rough, but they did a great job. Anyway, this priest came up to me and he said, listen, he said, there's a guy down there, and he says his name is Crowley, and but he's French. Will you go down and sort him out? So I went down and I introduced myself, he introduced himself. Yeah, I mean, he was a Crowley. I mean, his father was from Chicago, and never left the war and stayed in France and all that. So he's a Frenchman, but he's a French Crowley and very much a Crowley. So I kind of introduced him to the idea of juicing the whole thing up. And because my own father, who was, when he retired, he was a genealogist and wrote his book on the Crowley family, his favorite Crowley side. And he was here with me many years ago at one of these gatherings. But anyway, I said to Michael, look, why don't you try and find out where you run it again from it. Now, we all know how he took that and developed it to such a high degree. I don't know anyone who would work in any channel as much as he has to develop the official history of the Crowley language, which is one of the books, and also this great detailed knowledge about, I don't know, most Irish seem to be the same thing as well. So thank you, Michael, for the last 3 years. You have to thank very much so, and they're the way on and we can hear that part. So thank you, Michael. So we're going to stand and drink the toast. And I'd say in Irish, the burning yo are announced just a reach. May we all be alive and well a year from now. My Kenny friend here said, don't be cats.
It was built in the mid-15th century, and obviously Sullivan, because of fishing rights, was very welcome. All the digs, archaeological digs, that they found pottery, glassware, Portugal, Spain, France, China. Sullivan sighted Neil in the 1901, and after the battle, he set out and retired here. He left a garrison of 143 men. When Peru was the military governor, he marched along the coast of Carberry. He found himself stuck in Benchwood facing an army of Gaelic bands. So he took English ships, boarded his 2,000 men, and besieged the castle here. He started to bombard the castle on the 17th of April, 1602, and he made a breach in that tower here. So the 143 men were not too happy about this, of course, facing 2,000 men plus batteries firing from ships and on land. The following day, he positioned the cannon to breach the curtain wall, the foundation. And after that breach was made, the garrison offered surrender. So McGowan was the commander of the garrison, sent a messenger to Carew, and Carew immediately executed him. The next day, after the breach of the castle, the curtain wall, and that tower, it's about 8 foot between the two of them. An hour and a half. So the soldiers that actually were in the tower stayed in the tower, tried to escape by sea. 77 of them were killed at sea by the English who were waiting for them with pikes. Looking at that, the Richard commander of the garrison had been badly injured. He had been put in the cellar, and there was a boat literally. The castle was 17 feet high. Was trying to convince the survivors to explode the castle, but they would not. At that point, the English forces, the main boat, took the candle and actually lit up 4 remaining bags of powder. Survivors, all were executed here, hanged one by one, tortured to get information. Father Collins, who was the father of the garrison, was sent back to his native town of Youghal, where he was hanged, quartered, and his head put on spike, to put as an example to any Irish at the town, who had desired to rebel. All the English papers and government papers say that actually it was the most noble resistance during the 9-year war in Munster. As a result of the loss of Dunboy Castle, Donald Sullivan there decided to go, about 6 months later, decided to go north, and he marched with 1,000 people. 600 of them were women, children, age, and he marched across Ireland to join O'Neill in Ulster. 400 warriors were with him, and there were trolleys with them, and they were assigned to rear guard, to protect the rear guard, and provide food, provide foraging. Now, anyone that would provide assistance to Sullivan there would be seen as a traitor, and his land property considered forfeit. Our Taoiseach, Dr. Pat, is a descendant of those Crowleys that settled on County Clare during that march. Eventually, Sullivan didn't meet O'Neill, but he went to O'Rourke's castle in Leitrim, and there were only 50 of them that arrived at the end out of the 1,000. He marched 100 days and 100 nights, fighting desperate battles. There are a number of plaques on the west wall, south wall of the castle, dedicated to, the fight and the memory of those 143 Irish warriors. So I would like to propose a minute of silence for all those Irish warriors that fell for their freedom and our freedom. Is that a chief of a clan was elected by the community, and as a sign of his power and rightfulness and integrity, he was given a white rod of office. When he died, or the power changed to another chieftain, his white rod of office was broken, and a new one would be given to the new chief. Now, obviously, we're not going to do that. Yeah, some people were getting very wealthy. Just a few words. It is a great honor to transfer the chieftainship to Dr. Matt, a friend of so many years, who introduced me about 40 years ago to the clan from this small village of Kilkenny. I was doing a work here because you had somebody who had to call through the post office. You know, it was just a different time. And of course, it was the beginning of a great friendship that continued. And I can really thank you for having my side of my life. So would you please step to the stone? And we shall acclaim. Hip hip. Hooray! Hip hip. Hooray! Hooray! Very good. Now you're the boss. I can relax.
Well, thank you, Michael. I'll start by saying something that I learned from my father. He told me how we got our name. He said, Nishcom a Crowley has joined them on Maid Nart a boy alive. And that was spoken by Brian Fruit, the High King Martin, on the day of the Battle of Clontarf, when the Irish took the Danes out of Ireland. They won the battle. It was touch and go for a while. And he wanted to address the troops. We were a town. We actually were in the west of Ireland at that time. And we were there, and this is what he said to us. Nishcom a Crowley has fought. Now, hard warriors, I want to see the strength of your sword arm today. And we know what happened. They were part of the winning team. The Danes left. We never got them back. That's fine. So, but anyway, about 100 years later, it was the time that people were taking surname. And the teaching of the town at the time, because this was a historic moment, is what Brian Baruch had said. Because Brian had been killed in the Battle of Self. That was the end of him, and he was the High King. So when they were taking the surname, the teaching of the time insisted that they truly, that's what they were a warrior now. That's what they did. That's what they did. But the fact that Brian Baruch said this to them, so at least that's my story. My father told it to me. And Crowley means hard warrior, as we all know. And we were originally from Leitrim Roscommon, and we were part of the MacDermot dynasty up there. And we came down to Cork to fight for the McCarthys. And we were allies of them after that. And some of the lads from the Crowley town got fond of the McCarthy women. And you know, it's still going on. I'm married to a McCarthy woman. Anyway, so over the years, I have been coming down here since the mid-70s, since shortly after the start. So, and I met Michael in '78 in Kilmagany, and I put him in touch with the Crowley thing, and well, you can see the results. He's been wonderful and has written that terrific history of us and so on. And anybody who's going up to Galway tomorrow will see the castle that he's converted, which is Crowley Castle as far as he's concerned, up there in Galway. I tried to get him to take one in Kilkenny, but he wouldn't. He had to go to Galway. But it's up there, it's lovely. But anyway, I came here with my late father, who's a grandfather. I came here with my kids, here, and you know, it's an ongoing, like yourselves, it's an ongoing thing with me. So, and the lads here in Cork are so good at organising things, so on. And Michael, who I'm delighted to see has been teaching for that year, has done a marvellous job.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, maybe we should go and attack the O'Learys.
We're in.
No, there's no wars we can have left off. So anyway, we go on and into the next few years, and I just think that, you know, we have a great time now worldwide, and of course modern internet and so on keeps us more in touch. Now I hope I can do my best, and we have ideas I hope over the next 3 years, and you're all very welcome